Hey, I'm Super Duper Gamer, and today I'm going to show you how to play Firefly Shiny Dice. This is a competitive press your luck dice game for 1 to 5 players, and it plays in about 30 minutes. So inside the box here we've got a rule book, 5 player screens, which are okay, and they've got some nice rule summaries on the back. 15 custom dice, certainly my favorite part of the game, and supply cards, victory point cards, and mission cards. Additionally, we've got 2 player mats. They're both identical, and you'll only ever be using one at a time. So in a 2-player game, maybe it's kind of nice to have 2, otherwise it doesn't really seem necessary, but it's nice that there's 2 in there. Okay, for this game, what you're going to be doing basically is trying to defeat your foes, Niska, Saffron, and Badger. To start your turn, you're going to roll all 15 dice. You're going to put your foes in their respective foe boxes, and all your crew goes into Serenity. Both brown and white dice have some supply tokens on them. They would go to supply. And then you're going to use your crew's special powers to try to defeat these foes. Well, first actually, the foes attack you and they do some bad things to you. You know, maybe they kill a couple of your guys, and then you're going to try to use these guys to kill them. And once you do, it's going to cost you a few dice to do it. And let's say you've killed all your foes, then the press your luck part comes in, where you get to decide whether you want to try again using only these dice. Any of the dice that were killed during your first turn, you won't get to use for your second one. So if you decide to keep going, you risk the points you gained by killing those foes, and you re-roll the dice you still have not KO'd and all your foe dice, and you just play again from there. So once you either choose to not press your luck at the end of your turn, or if you fail to defeat all your foes, then your turn is over and play passes to the next person. The game is played over the course of 3 rounds, so everyone gets 3 turns, and after that's done, you compare your victory point totals to see who has the most and who has won the game. The first thing you're going to do on your turn, and it has a turn summary here on the back of your player screen. It also has a summary of what each of the dice do. So there's 3 different colored dice. The black are foes, the brown and white are crew, and specifically the white are passengers while the brown are outlaws. So the first thing you do on your turn is roll all 15 dice. Okay, after you do that, you place them on the mat in their appropriate positions. For the foes, they just, you just match your symbol, Niska, Saffron, Badger. Just put them in their boxes, and then all your crew go in Serenity. However, both the brown and the white dice have supply icons on them. If you roll any of those, you put it in the supplies area. The next thing you do is you choose which dice, if any, to re-roll. 2 of the dice in the game have re-roll abilities. And so river, for each river, you can use the river to re-roll itself plus any 1 foe die. So say you want to re-roll your Niska and your Saffron. And then also wash, you can re-roll wash and any 1 crew die, either outlaw or passenger. You can't re-roll the supplies though, so you can't re-roll the supplies with the wash, but you could re-roll the Simon. Right, so take wash and Simon and river and Saffron and river and Niska and re-roll all of those. Now you don't have to choose one. If you wanted to re-roll your river, but you didn't want to re-roll any of your foes, that's okay too. You only get 1 re-roll though, so after you do that, this is now set. So river is stuck in my crew, and I've got 2 more supplies there. Still got Simon. I rolled another Badger, and there's 1 Niska. So you check for any bonuses. If there's 4 of any 1 foe, then all other players have to discard 100 victory points, if they have it. So we do have 4 Badgers, however, no one is, this is the first turn of the first round, no one has any victory points yet, so basically nothing happens. If there are 5 of any one foe, everyone discards 100 victory points and your turn ends immediately, so it's a good thing I didn't roll all badgers there, because then I would have ended my turn immediately with no points. Also, if you have 4 outlaws, which I do, I've got Kaylee, Zoe, Mal, and Jane. Supplies don't count, but if you have 4, so there's these, and then there's also Wash. Right, but so I've got 4 different ones, and because of that, I get the team bonus of immediately do 1 damage to any one foe. So really what I would do is I would do 1 damage to Niska, so that I've defeated him. I get 100 points for defeating him into the temporary score pool, and it's before the foe's strike, so Niska doesn't do his bad effect. But here, since I'm teaching you how to play, I'm actually going to leave Niska there, and I'm going to have a Saffron here, so we can go over the effects. Then you draw your mission. So here we've got mission. We are just too pretty for God to let us die. And a picture from the show. Here's what you need to complete it. That's 2 Mals and 2 Zoes. And here's what happens if you complete it. Add 200 victory points to your temporary score pool and gain 2 supplies. It also has a keyword down here, escape. So you check your rulebook and you find that escape means if you complete this mission, you have the option to end your turn immediately, which would be good if you were sort of at risk of not being able to kill all the foes, because if you don't defeat all your foes, then you've lost and your temporary score pool is lost. But if you're able to escape, you get to end your turn immediately, take your temporary score pool, and then play moves on to the next player. We're not going to do that. 1, because we can't complete the mission. And 2, because we have plenty of crew left to defeat all the foes, which will get us even more victory points. So what we're going to do is basically ignore that, because we can't do anything with it. Alright, next it says shiny times. That just means if there's a mission that says shiny, you get to do 1 damage to your foes. The next thing that happens is the foe's strike, and they go in order. It goes Niska, Saffron, Badger. So Niska, as long as Niska is here, which means there's 1 or more dice in Niska's box, you have to KO one of your crew. So I'm going to go ahead and take Simon and KO him. Now what this means is any dice that get KO'd, you aren't going to be able to use them if you choose to try again. This is a press your luck dice game. So at the end of your turn, you get to choose to go again with fewer dice, being that you can't use any of the dice that were KO'd in your previous turns. So then Saffron, she puts into the cargo hold 1 of your crew. If you have 2 Saffron, you have to do 2 of your crew, 3 Saffron, 3 of your crew, etc. I have 1 Saffron, so I'm going to go ahead and take River and put her in the cargo hold, because her power, if you check your player screen, is that she can reroll herself and any foe die. Rerolls are already done, so I can't do that with her anymore. Also, she can deal 1 damage to each foe. Actually, you know what? That's a really good ability. Deal 1 damage to each foe, and I have 3 foes out here, so I'm going to want to hold on to her. I'm going to have Saffron lock up my Kaylee. And then what Badger does is he locks supplies. So you put 1 supply with each Badger die. If you didn't have enough, that's fine. Just do all of them. If you have too many, just do 1 for each and then leave the rest of them in supplies. Now what happens is if you defeat all your foes, you get any supplies that are in supplies. But if you defeat a Badger who's holding on to a supply, you get that supply immediately. So you could defeat, you could hit these Badger dice and get those supplies and then still lose without killing them, which would make it so you don't get these supplies. So it's kind of actually beneficial to have Badger grab the supplies. It makes them easier for you to get. Alright, after foes strike, now you get to use the special abilities of your dice to do damage to the foes. So, like I said, River, I didn't notice, but unstable reaction, deal 1 damage to each foe. That's really good. So I'm going to go ahead and use her, and when you use a die's power, it goes into the KO box. So she's going to deal 1 damage to Niska, which every time you defeat a foe, you get 100 victory points in your temporary score pool. You only get that if you end your turn successfully. And she's going to do 1 to Saffron for another 100 in the temporary score pool, and 1 to Badger. Supply Badger was hanging on to. I'm going to move it to the cargo hold to note that it's already scored, and then you get it immediately. So you get to take 1 supply card and add it behind your player screen, which is where you keep your victory point total. And at the end of the game, every 2 supplies you have is worth 100 victory points. Okay, so I've still got 2 badgers to take care of. I know Jane can do 2 damage to any one foe, so it seems to apply perfectly here. I'm going to go ahead and use that die to knock out both those badgers, giving me another 2 supplies and another 100 victory points. Okay, since I defeated all the foes, the next thing I would do is collect any supplies in the supplies area, but those have already been collected by killing Badger, who had stolen them all earlier. So then all I have to do for step 4 is choose whether I want to lay low or keep flying. If I choose to lay low, I get to take these 300 victory points that are in the temporary score pool and pass play on to the next player. However, I only have 3 dice KO'd, so I still got plenty of crew left. I think I'm going to keep flying, which means I'm going to go ahead and re-roll the crew that aren't KO'd and all of the foes. We go to Niska, 2 Saffron, and a Badger, 3 Kayleys, Wash, Jane, Zoe, and Inara. So if you can't remember what they do, you just check your player screen, check up what you got. Basically, Kaylee can deal 1 damage to any foe and move 1 die from the KO pile to the cargo hold. Wash is the reroll again. Jane, 2 damage to any 1 foe. Or he can, KO himself and someone else to completely defeat any one of the foes. So that would be most useful if, say, there was 4 hit points on any 1 foe, but there's not. Zoe can deal 2 damage divided as you choose to any foes. So that's obviously a lot like Jane's main ability, except better. And then Inara, score 100 victory points immediately, which means you actually get to take the victory points and skip the whole temporary score pool thing for those ones. Alright, so I get to, first thing I gotta do is decide what to reroll. I'm gonna go ahead and reroll a Wash, and no, you know what, I'm not gonna reroll a Wash or Kaylee, because I've got the team bonus here, and so that's gonna help me out. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep what I've got. So let me check for bonuses. There's not 4 more of any of those. There is a team bonus, so I get to do 1 damage to any 1 foe. I'm going to go ahead and do 1 damage to Saffron. And next is the mission. This one is Wheel Never Stops Turning. It takes 2 badgers to complete. If you are defeated this turn, then you gain 2 supplies. Completing the mission does not affect this event. Okay, so I'll gain 2 supplies if I'm defeated this turn. 2 badgers. I don't have 2 badgers, so I cannot complete this mission. And it says sabotage. So then you check your rulebook. Oh, what does sabotage mean? It means I must immediately re-roll all of my crew dice and keep the results rolled. This can be avoided if you have the appropriate crew dice to complete the mission, but I do not. So I have to immediately re-roll all my crew dice, which crew dice again is brown and white. So I'm going to take all these, re-roll this. Okay, so now instead of what I had, I've got Wash, Kaylee, a Supplies, a Mal, and a River, and a Zoe. Now Foe Strike. So first Niska KOs one of my dice. I'm going to go ahead and let Niska KO Wash, because his only ability is to re-roll dice, which isn't useful anymore. So then Saffron holds on to someone. I'm going to give her River. And Badger grabs the supplies. Okay, now it's my turn. I'm going to use Kaylee's ability. Kaylee gets to do 1 damage to any foe and move a die from the KO pile to the cargo hold. So the cargo hold dice you're going to get back at the end of this turn. So if you choose to keep flying at the end, usually using an ability makes you lose a die. But with Kaylee, you use it, you do 1 damage, and you get to move something out into the cargo hold, which means you can't use it right now, but you'll have it to keep flying if you want to go again after this turn. Alright, and so then Kaylee again for another damage to Niska, move another die into the cargo hold. And we've got 2 left, so I'm going to go ahead and say Zoe, 2 damage divided as you choose to any foes. Okay, so Zoe will do that. That's perfect. Alright, so the supply, I get 1 supply for defeating Badger, who had a supply, and 3 100 victory point cards go into the at-risk pile. Now I've got 5 dice left if I want to keep flying. So you know what, I'm going to go ahead and choose to lay low, which means I get to take the at-risk pile and add it to my total that's hidden behind my player screen and pass play to the next player. So that's Firefly Shiny Dice, the press your luck dice game for 1 to 5 players. I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope I taught you everything you need to know to get started playing this game with your friends. Enjoy it.